It's the Brian and Kindra Show with Brian Cook and Kindra Cox of Keller Williams Realty Elite.
I am Kendra Cox.
I'm Brian Cook.
Between the two of us, we have over 30 years of experience.
Sharing real estate tips and advice. Right here on Classic Hits 1073.
Hey, welcome to the Brian and Kindra Show. We have a great guest with us today, Kevin.
We do have a great guest.
We do.
Kevin Cansler with State Farm.
You were doubting me. Like,
Yeah.
He's not great. He's just okay.
Yeah, because earlier Kevin said, just really how interesting is this insurance business going to be? So Kevin, are you ready?
I'm ready to make it as exciting as possible.
Okay, so market stats.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you did these early this morning. When
Yeah.
did you do these?
This morning.
That's not the market stats. That's your checkbook. What else have you got in there? Wallet?
Well, then,
Yep.
hang on. Give me a
Did
minute.
you bring the stats? This is exciting.
I buried them, so I'm losing.
I was hoping you'd bury them too. All right, so what have you got for us? Okay, so my question was, did you do them this morning? Because, man,
Yes, and
because when I was looking at MLS a while ago, what?
8:45 or 9 o'clock.
Okay, let's hear it.
All right, so today, July 1st, we have 51 active listings in Woodward.
How many did we have last week?
Last year we had 101.
A year ago we had 101, and today we have 51.
Yes.
That's crazy.
We have 3 new ones as of this morning, but I think there was 3 or 4 new
Well,
ones today.
I've got 2. I'm going to have to go back to the office and put on for you tonight.
Yeah. And then we have, there are 37 pending in Woodward. 5 new pending contracts this week. So it's been a crazy week. So like a couple of weeks ago, I was like, hey, I don't know what's going on. It seems really weird and slow and blah, blah, blah. I guess we were just on
I
the, we
don't
were on
feel
the
very
wrong
slow
side
today.
of the tidal wave. Because, man, so we don't feel very slow right now. So new pendings. There were 5 new pendings this week, so 5 new contracts. Closings this week. We've had 6 closings in Woodward. So today we have 3.24 months of inventory.
Oh my goodness, that's fantastic.
And a
I
year
like
ago
that
we
way
had,
better than 8 months or 9 months.
Yeah, a year ago we had 8.42.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy, the difference in a year.
Yeah.
Okay, can we talk about closings real quick?
We only had 13 pending closings a year from now.
Isn't that nuts?
Wow.
But we were still busy, so I don't even understand.
I don't
It's so
understand it.
bizarre. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about closings. We had the funnest closing yesterday. Well, I mean, part of it was fun.
Yes.
We had a sweet closing yesterday at Woodward County Abstract. Jackie Jones was our closer, and I was telling somebody, we got to closing, and I like ran in there and slammed the door, like I didn't let you go in there with me. It wasn't on purpose. I was just excited. Like, we had the sweetest sellers that we had their house listed some time ago, and they decided not to sell, and they withdrew their house from the market. And I was like, good, because I don't want you to move. Like, I just met them, but they were just really good people. And then you have this sweet buyer who knows exactly what they want, and you're like, I know what you need. And you call these sweet people that I've just convinced to stay in Woodward, and you sell their dang house. What are you thinking? My heart was broken.
Sorry.
I know. We both had some little tears in there at the closing table. But they got to move to be by their
Yeah,
grands.
your grandbabies.
So I bring that up for 2 reasons. One, because Woodward County Abstract did a great job, of course, just like they always do.
Mhm.
They're one of our sponsors. We greatly appreciate them. But also, just because if you don't see the house that you want on the market, because we still have kind of a low inventory. So if we don't see what we want, they just need to tell you what they want, and you'll hunt it down, and you'll sell my BFF's houses, and ittle be fine.
That's right. What's that other address on Cheyenne?
So, alrighty. That's not funny.
Oh.
Oh my goodness, you can't sell my real BFF's houses, just my new BFFs.
New BFFs. Okay.
Not
Kevin?
my old BFFs.
Does Jake have a house?
Golly, jeez. That was
He does.
terrifying.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Jake has a house, is that what you just
It's
said?
my house.
Next up, selling Kevin Cansler's
He
house.
lives with me.
All right, we
Rudy.
need to take a break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about homeowners insurance, and we're going to make it fun.
Okay.
I mean, somehow
Challenge accepted.
it's going to be
Fireworks.
fun. Fireworks. We'll be right back.
That's good.
Hey, we're back.
Yes, we are. We're talking about whether or not Teddy Roosevelt, my little terrier mix terror is what he is, a holy terror, if he is covered by my homeowner's insurance, and it sounds like he's not.
He's not covered by homeowner's insurance, but you could probably get some pet insurance for
You
him.
sell that to me?
We could probably work something out.
Not today, but I will by Monday.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so Teddy Roosevelt. Oh, what a mess. Let's move on to. I'm excited about this a little bit because there are a lot of things I've realized in our jobs. Of course, we always encourage our buyers, whether they're cash or if they're a loan, then homeowners insurance, of course, is required. But if it's a cash buyer, not all cash buyers want homeowners insurance, and that scares me to death. But some of our buyers will bring us their quotes and say, which one is better? And I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea. These things are completely foreign to me. You and I sat next to each other at a table the other day, and I was reading one, and you were reading two. I don't know. And we were going back and forth with because everything is different. Like, there's all these different coverages, and there's different, the words aren't even necessarily the same policy to policy. It gets really confusing. So let's start with my favorite, actual cash value or replacement cost.
Well, in the insurance policy, there's a whole lot of insurance jargon, like there is in every industry. Replacement cost is, what would it cost to, or what would be an estimated replacement cost to, if you had to rebuild or reconstruct your house because of a total loss, what would it take to get that done? That's what replacement cost is. And
where is that value determined?
Well, just in our office, we have a tool that State Farm provides that we put in all the information from the size of the house to what the materials used to build the house. There's just lots of different questions, and then it just gives us a number as far as what the estimated replacement cost would be. And a lot of the factors are determined on where you live. What is the cost of the building materials, and especially the labor or the taxes and the fees and everything that's involved in reconstructing or building a house. What does it take to build a house? And so that's all kind of part of that magic number.
A lot of times with any kind of insurance, like my auto insurance, it's been the same for years and years and years and years. I don't even think about it. So a lot of times I think with our insurance policies, we don't up them, we don't change them, we just keep going with status quo. Whatever bill you send us, we pay, and we don't think about actual cash value versus replacement cost. So that two different things are like running through my head. I don't even know how to get them out of my mouth, but I remember after the tornado in 2012, and I know you'll remember too, we heard a lot of horror stories where a homeowner had not increased the coverage on their property, and so maybe they were still insured for the $50,000 that they purchased their home for 20 years ago, and now their home is worth $120,000, and they were finding themselves coming up short. How often do I want to meet with you to make sure that my coverage is appropriate for my property?
I would say just like you, I offer appointments to my customers yearly. State Farm, they go ahead and increase your coverage every year based on what the inflation trends are for you anyway. So that's one thing that we are experiencing now more than we have before, rather than just your general 2 to 4% inflation increase just because of lumber and drywall installers. Those are two huge factors. We're having more of an 8 to 12% increase just to help cover that. So it's something that State Farm looks at, at every homeowner's policy like that. So
how does that work on a roof? Because it seems like, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like roof coverage is different than the actual home coverage.
That depends on company to company and policy to policy. So State Farm sells policies that if it's all replacement, it's all replacement. If it's all actual cash value, it's all actual cash value.
Terrific.
Some companies will say it's replacement for the house, but actual cash value for the roof only. So it really depends on company to company and policy to policy.
And it goes back to how important it is to just read and see what you're really getting into.
It's important to know what your policy does for you. So it's important to know what you're covered for and what you're not covered for, so there's not any surprises at claims time. That's the worst thing that I would hate to visit with a customer is surprise, you're not covered.
Exactly. So Brian was reading his policy over there, and he said that his furs are covered.
So there's coverage for personal property for like everything. There might be on our policy, and I'm sure a lot of insurance policies, it's called coverage B. So that's your personal property. And whatever happens, you're going to be covered for your furs or your fireworks or your
Ooh.
Oh,
things
that's
like
next.
that. Okay. So, but depending on the type of loss, you may not have as much coverage. So if it's a total loss in the event of a fire or a tornado, something like that, you lose everything. Your entire amount of coverage is going to be, replacement cost with State Farm. If it is the cause of loss is theft, most people don't steal everything. They will probably not going to steal my
Right.
clothes, my furniture, my fans, my everything, but they're going to steal my furs that I don't have, or
Right.
jewelry, or firearms, things like that. There's going to be
They
set
may want
limits.
your collection of khakis.
That's right. That's right. So they may steal Jake, and we got a fight going on there. So.
Wait,
yeah.
right now, do we mean Jake the cardboard cutout, or do we mean Jake
Kick
your...
the dog.
Well, I better say both, but I'm really referring to the.
You're really partial to that cardboard
The four-legged one. No, the four-legged one listens to me.
He scares me whenever I walk in the office. I start every time.
Well,
Every time I walk in, I kind of jump a little, and then I'm like, oh, it's just Jake over there in the corner.
Yeah, when he's hiding in the corner in the shadows, it's a little scary.
For
But,
reals, he is. He's good. Can he not hang out like it where it's well lit?
well, I moved him to the very front, and it scared people too, because just immediately, you're being greeted by somebody 1 foot away.
I
so.
feel like, okay, so when you walk into your front office there, and Melinda is right here on my right, and I don't remember who's on my left.
Well, it was Danny, but it's yeah.
Okay, so over on the left is another nice, and it's a little bit further away. There's a nice sitting area, and I feel like Jake needs to be just over there by her desk, just beside that credenza that you have up against the front window.
Okay.
I think that's where Jake should be now.
I need to put a warning on the door, warning, Jake is watching. So.
No, I think it's fun. Just go ahead and do
Okay.
it. It'll be great. But I want to come and watch.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So Jake is going to get moved. That's exciting. We could move Jake. We could
Well,
get
we
Jake
could
a
have
house.
a game.
Oh my goodness, Jake could just
Get
go
sneak
everywhere.
in
Jake's
You're
going to
going
go
on
for a
vacation
ride in
next
Bernice.
week?
Yeah. Do you
could
want
do
me to
some
take
house
Jake to Colorado with me?
That'd be fun.
Yeah, it'd be fun, except it was an all-girls trip. Sorry, he can't go. Okay, so...
You'd be the right guy to go with you, though. Won't talk,
That's funny.
won't create any
No,
issues.
it's an
won't be-
all-girls trip. All girls. It's going to be fun. Okay, so it's a friendcation. Yes, it's time for another friendcation. It's probably time for another solocation too. But okay, anyway. So am I covered no matter how my home is damaged? So this is perfect right now because I don't know if you know about Brian, but he's got some issues with fire.
So we talked about that, like shuffling my fireworks home when I light my cigarette.
Whatever.
To
Well,
light
I'm-
your bottle rocket.
While I'm filling up the mower with gasoline, and I'm mowing and shooting fireworks with gasoline, and I light my house on fire.
Is he covered?
Every claim situation is different, so there's going to be questions asked about what's going on. But if you caused the fire and it's not arson and you didn't do it on purpose for insurance fraud, then yes, you're covered.
Oh, okay, good.
That's a huge relief.
I'm like, no more. Okay.
But we might have to talk about some of your habits.
If it's
All right, I'll have
accidental
Cecily
direct loss,
mow.
you are covered. So,
Accidental direct loss. Okay, but the real part of this question, I think, is more about, especially today. The other day it was raining. When we went to our closing, it was a horrible
we refused to do
downpour. I made Brian pull up to the front of the office so I didn't get sopping wet. But then, whenever we were coming back off of Main Street, the water was clear up. And those curbs are really tall. Clear up to the top of the curb. It was fun. I was like, punch it, Marge. Like, I wanted to really
I thought I
go
was going to hit a
through.
curb.
I know, I was all excited thinking I was in the Jeep, but I guess not. I guess pickups don't do that fun stuff.
Yes.
Anywho, point being, if that water comes into my house, am I covered?
water coming from outside source like a creek or the rising water, things like that. It is not covered by your basic homeowner's policy or your hazard insurance. It needs to be a separate policy that is called flood insurance.
So flood insurance is kind of a tricky little monster, in my opinion.
It is.
It
And
can
a lot of
be
people,
really expensive.
a lot of people, especially if you don't deal with a lot of floods, they don't see the need for flood insurance.
And we
until
don't deal
after
with
the
a lot of
flood.
floods.
We don't.
Exactly, and that's what's tricky. So flood zone, people that are purchasing a home in a flood zone are going to be required by their lenders to purchase the flood insurance. And we see it anywhere from I mean, very reasonable, and I think, well, that's doable, to some crazy amounts that will actually even push the buyer above their,
Debt to income.
yes, thank you, so that they're not able to complete the purchase. So, but it's important, isn't it? Even when we think it's not going to happen, it's still, I need to quit clicking that pen, don't I?
It's important to have, and it's just everybody needs to understand that if you purchase in the flood zone and you're going to be forced to do it, then you're going to have to be willing to buy flood insurance. So,
And you can buy flood insurance on property if you're not in the flood zone. It's really cheap.
Absolutely, yeah. It all has to do with risk. If you happen to live in a flood zone that's at a higher risk, it's going to be higher premiums. If you happen to live in an area that you're not in a flood
Like
zone,
my
and
house.
so it's no flood risk, it's going to be very cheap.
Yes. I
Yeah.
should get flood insurance just because I can have it. Cheap on a hill.
Well, insurance
I know a
is
guy.
all based on risk. You're in a high risk for anything, it's just higher premiums. That's everything.
So I had a long time ago, 20 years ago, I lived on Oak in a house down the street. Water ran down the street, through his garage and out the back door and up into his kitchen. And his insurance didn't cover anything. Because they said his flood insurance didn't cover property damage because it didn't wash the house off the foundation.
Oh,
And this homeowners didn't cover it because it was water. So that must be a coverage issue. He didn't have the right.
sounds like a
Must
nightmare to
be.
me.
No, it was a nightmare. So I don't know what new. That's a beyond my comprehension question right now.
Okay, so I
Put
have
you on
more
the spot.
questions, but we totally need to take a little
Okay.
break, and then we'll be right back.
All right, we're back talking about insurance. Let's talk about saving money.
Okay.
All right, so we always complain about insurance premiums. Everybody does. So how do I make my insurance premium lower?
You reduce the risk.
Oh, that is not the answer I expected.
That's the best way to get the premium as low as possible is you reduce the risk.
Okay, so before we started a little bit ago, Brian was looking through his policy, and you have, what was I can't remember what the term was, but basically it was a home security kind of a thing. And in this instance, we're talking just about, I just lost all of
Smoke
my
alarms,
vocabulary.
Deadbolts, yeah, locking and deadbolts and securing your property physically, like a deadbolt system.
So that's like a very basic level of risk reduction.
Right.
So to increase that risk reduction, oh my
Yeah.
goodness gracious,
Yeah.
I would maybe get ADT or some kind of a home security. I don't even know all the
Vivid or all
Vivid,
those.
something like that. So what else do I do to
Uh,
reduce risk?
Another risk is when it's time for people to actually replace roofs, whether
Mhm.
they're replacing it on their own or they just had a claim and so now they're getting their roof replaced. Consider an impact resistant type roof, one that is that can handle hail and wind a little bit better.
Absolutely.
Meaning the insurer or the insurance company will be less likely to have to pay a
Mhm.
claim out as quickly, so they'll pass on that savings to the customer. So you can get a pretty hefty discount with an impact resistant class 4 or 50-year
Mhm.
shingle. But make sure, just like with State Farm, make sure it's on an approved list because they have to be
Right.
tested to
okay.
see that they qualify.
So when I did my house, and I think we did your house this way, it's the amount of money it costs us to upgrade to impact resistant. We save that money in like less than 2 years.
I did. That's
Yeah,
what I was just
premiums.
thinking. I
A
was.
lot of times it's about a year and a half. You
Yeah,
get
it
to
was
recoup.
quick.
And plus, the good thing is you get to keep that discount as long as you have that shingle.
Mhm.
And if
Right.
something does happen, softball-sized hail, that's going to damage no matter what shingle you have.
Right.
We'll go ahead and put another class 4 shingle right back on
Exactly.
because it's what you
Well,
lose is what we replace.
And I think the thing with insurance is, you and I view insurance differently. Brian and I do, because Brian is kind of, you're like you don't need insurance in some ways. I mean, you do. Obviously, you're
Yes.
homeowners and things like that. But we talk about
Well, I
insurance all the
lessened
time.
the risk. So like on the house that we bought, I just didn't get insurance on it. So I lessened the risk. So it was free.
Or technically, you self-insure it.
Right. So
But and some
I-
of that is just being able to. I mean, you're
Right.
kind of like, well, I can fix just about anything, and I'm kind of like, I can't fix anything. So the need and the comfort level for different types of insurances is so important to some people more than others. And I think that's the thing is there's a huge security in knowing that I have a good homeowners policy or a good auto policy. And I'm saying all these different things. We talked a lot, you and I have at length about life insurance policy and how important that is. It's so important to me to know that if something were to happen, I mean, I'm not a great driver. On my way home, something happens, I want to know that my kids are taken care of. And so I have all of those things in place. And so it's really, insurance is a security for me, and it makes me feel comforted. So interesting.
Absolutely.
If somebody wants to contact you tomorrow, just kidding, Brian's like, are we working tomorrow? I am. All right, so how do we contact you? How do we talk to you about insurance?
Well, phone number is 580-256-2216. The office location is 1309 13th Street on the corner of Oklahoma and 13th Street, right across from Hutch's. Website, you can just go to agentkevincan.com.
Because
And
Agent
Kevin Can. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
My mom used to call me Kindra Can. Evidently, I was kind of negative. I can't do it.
Oh, no, you're not. You can.
Well, if Kindra can't, Kevin can.
That's right.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much for joining us. Is there anything you want to make sure that we say real fast in our next 30 seconds?
I say it's important for everybody just to be aware of what their policy does for them. Whatever policy you have, that way you know exactly what's coming your way if you have to make a claim.
Absolutely.
Right,
Awesome.
well, we
Thank
appreciate you sponsoring our show, and we get the ability to educate our buyers and sellers each week, and so we will definitely appreciate your service. You've insured all my stuff and taken care of me quite a bit, and so we
That's
definitely
wonderful.
appreciate that. So we hope you all enjoy your 4th of July. Have a great holiday weekend, and we will see you next Thursday.
Happy 4th.